Welcome, everybody, to the Devil's Work podcast, the podcast where me, Skeptik, and my friend PsydeShow here
Hey.
subject ourselves to the best and the worst that the world has to offer when it comes to horrific, traumatizing, gory, and disgusting films.
Yeah, which one will
And
today be? We'll find out.
yeah, today we have a doozy. Today we're closing out the Dead or Alive trilogy by
Mhm.
Takashi Miike. It's funny that of all the movies we've covered, this is the one with the absolute least amount of information and commentary and
Yeah.
anything on the internet.
It's so hard to even find it to watch it.
It just like doesn't exist.
Yeah, we
It's
had to get
it's
a whole ass other subscription service to find it.
It's crazy that I've like had these DVDs since like what this came out in 2002. I
hmm
was in high school. There was like 2 or 3 years where for like what I wanted for my birthday,
hmm
my mom would just ask me. Like it was a pretty streamlined process in my house. As long as you weren't asking for like a crazy dollar amount. So I would
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like go on Amazon and just get like, and now I know how bad that was. I'm sorry, but I would go on Amazon and
We
just
live, we
get
learn, we grow.
just find a bunch of DVDs of just like foreign films, hard to find films, like whatever I
Yeah.
was like interested and couldn't pirate. Like these, I definitely tried to pirate these films and just could not like figure out. I
Yeah,
couldn't
without
internet good
without
enough.
destroying your computer,
Oh
which is
yeah.
almost always the family computer.
Yeah, so probably like literally like 2004, 2005. This was on my list was the Dead or Alive trilogy, and those are the DVDs that I still have.
That's so sick. That's such a cool upbringing though, like to have that. That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. My parents have always been very, very supportive. I'm really lucky in that regard, and I know, not everybody is.
Yeah, no, hard same. Yeah, my mom, like I always talk about it. My mom has watched a lot of the movies that we cover on here with me, and we've
Mhm.
discussed them afterwards. You know what I mean? It's not like she's as much of a fan of good movies as anything, So if it's a good script, if it's, regardless if it's horror or not, she's just in it.
Yeah. My mom's got a little bit of a weak stomach when it comes to like the gore elements and things.
Oh
So
yeah, for
so
sure.
so
Oh
I
yeah,
just
we've definitely found a boundary or two and crossed it
yeah.
within the realms of watching them.
Yeah. So I've but like kind of like you said, like I'll talk to her about these and she'll be like interested in it, but she'll be like, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't watch Terrifier." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't either."
Maybe kick back on that one, Ma.
Yeah. So anyway, of all the movies that I got in such a way, that's how I would like build my collection. I didn't have a
Yeah,
ton of money year round. I definitely don't come from money. So, I'd just be like, here's like 10 or 15 movies that I've been trying to find, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So probably next to Stacy, what is it called? I think it's Stacy, the Rise of the Teenage Schoolgirl Zombies. That is
That's funny as shit.
probably that is probably
I
the
think you've
like
talked about it before. We've
yeah.
definitely talked about it before. That's
I
funny as
I
shit.
hate that I've brought it up so many times because now we're gonna have to watch it, unfortunately. And it is terrible. And it's
Uh-huh.
also probably actually the most like esoteric film that I've ever come across in my whole, career of watching this
Yeah,
shit.
for
But Dead
sure.
or Alive Final is a close second.
Yeah, yeah, man. This one, I'm so glad I went into this one completely blind, did not know a thing about it. I just have been going along for the ride as we've done it because I obviously love me some Miike. I love everything about his films. I love that he's just so willing to do whatever the fuck he wants, whenever the fuck he wants, and however the fuck he wants. I respect his artistry on a big level. So the fact that I haven't seen these before was very exciting to me. And when I I mean part one started off with a goddamn bang. Like that was a lot.
Yeah.
It's a face full to take in. And then part two is a little bit of a slower burn. Let's meditate on this a little bit. There's some shocking shit in there. Absolutely. but this third one was just fucking off the rails, bad shit, gonzo.
Yeah,
uh,
two is like the most genuine. Like one, it's
for
weird because
sure, for sure. I agree.
it's weird because one tells this like genuine story of human connection, but then at the end it just becomes fucking Dragon Ball Z. And
Yeah, for sure.
it's interesting to like rewatch it now and see that like okay, there's a point because it's like their masculinity and their pride. They'd rather destroy the world than just sit down and work through the feelings of like loss that they're going through and
Yeah,
like
and then like part two is exactly that.
yeah, so it's like so much more genuine, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. The
Um
approach is more sincere for sure. You're right.
yeah, or it seems more genuine, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Because when you really like look at it and analyze one, like it's actually even it ending that way is thoughtful. It's like shocking and
Oh yeah,
crazy,
yeah.
but it like actually works within the art piece. It's not completely out of line wackiness, even though it is
Mhm.
in certain ways. You know, certainly
Very much.
visually it is.
Very
Uh,
much.
and same even with the end of this movie. I have a note that says I hate that there's like thematic reasons that the end of this movie makes sense. You know? Like as
This
nonsensical and
has the
ridiculous as it is.
this has the most gonzo ending though. This is definitely the most
Absolutely.
bizarre of the three.
I think of any film ever created, probably.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Probably. I
I'm
can't.
so and that's what I was saying too. It was so like we just before we started recording, we were talking about like how I'm conflicted about this one. I don't know how I feel about it yet because I watched it, obviously pretty late, pretty stoned, but I was still like, okay, what? Like what? Like yeah, I was just so lost in whatever the fuck he was trying to say. And and I could see there was merit, and I did like how there's that little recap at the end of this one for
Hmm.
like one and two. That was interesting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's like elements of it that I really enjoyed, but then there were elements of it that were so bizarre it kind of turned me off. And I'm like, it's weird.
It
Like, why
it
did you?
it kind of went like BioShock Infinite for a second. It kind of did like do this thing where it was like our souls will always be in conflict across time,
That's so goddamn funny.
which is a funny fucking thing to do when you
Yeah.
consider that like these two guys were never in movies together before, and I don't think after this. So it's just funny to like be like it's always been that way. Everything
Yeah, yeah.
rhymes. It's
Yeah,
just like
and I think I literally think it comes back to what you were saying. I think it was on the second one we were talking about this, where you were just like, at one point, Miike was just like, "Yeah, they're but just in my movie together. That's all it is. Go fuck yourself."
yeah, pretty
Like,
much.
yeah, like, and again, I respect that at the same time because what year was this one?
This was 2002. So
Fuck, this is
I think
just after Ichi the Killer. That's fucking crazy.
I think they were year wise back to back. I don't think production wise, but he was making so many movies
Yeah,
at
so
that
many. We
time.
always talk about he's just the most,
Yeah,
probably the most prolific director of all time. And just in terms of
we
numbers, sheer numbers.
yeah, we went through it in one episode and he was doing like averaging like 5 point something movies a year
A
because he
year.
was going
Yeah.
back and forth between like 5 and 6 movies for so
Fucking
long.
nuts, man. Like, take a rest, my guy.
I mean, even like in the 2010s, he had over 100 movies.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was saying. Like, and then it was still like that, but that's the thing. He never like fell off. Like as a director, it's so interesting to see this one back to back with Ichi the Killer, because even like with 13 Assassins later on, how all that came about, all of those ones were phenomenal. Like they're all incredible movies, and in their own right have a lot of things to say, have a lot of like artistic merit, and this. Not to say this is a lesser one, but this is just very strange. Like, what were you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, it's really weird. It's got a lot of like uncomfortable subtext, to be honest. Like
Hmm.
the whole thing about like the mayor is sterilizing everyone because he's gay.
Yeah,
He's
okay,
gay, so
that's
he
what I'm
doesn't want
saying.
anyone else to have
Yeah, okay,
children.
that's I couldn't read
This
what the
movie is this
fucking
movie is
like
like the villain is the gay agenda.
that's
So, so it's like
okay, that's probably what made the tone of it very strange to me. I was like, why do I not fuck with this as hard? You know, okay, that
but
makes sense. That
but
makes sense.
but it's funny. It's in a way where it's like having seen so many of Miike's movies, and he's featured homosexuality in his movies
Quite often.
without like
Making
judgment.
it a punchline.
Yeah, so I feel like he just like really thought like, oh, this is like a really cool, like unique take or something or like edgy, but it just kind of falls flat in that
Hmm.
regard
I
because it
think
just
within the realm of a Yakuza movie, though, that's probably what he was thinking. You know what I mean? Like, I think, like,
I guess, but it was just weird, but also like it's in line with his portrayals of it within this trilogy. So it's
mm,
so maybe you're right that it's like because it's the Yakuza world where that would be frowned upon.
mhm.
'Cause in the first one, the only gay character that we see, he like he rapes a bunch of dudes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
exactly. Yeah.
So
So that's
it's
what I'm saying. It's not even like he's making a statement as a director or anything. It's not even anything. It's just like,
yeah, I feel maybe
what
it's
if
just
this was in there? Wouldn't that be
maybe it's just
interesting? You know?
all these movies are very much about like toxic masculinity.
Hmm,
So I
hmm,
guess it's
hmm.
just like, what if you were gay and extremely toxically masculine? Then you'd probably, like a lot of men who are toxically masculine, be like, what I want is what matters. Everyone should have it the way I have
Hmm.
it. You know, so
Yep.
I don't know. It's weird. I would
Yeah.
love to see like an actual conversation with him about that, but
Yeah.
again, there's like nothing about this movie online anywhere.
For now, everyone's gonna have
So
to settle for our
it
conversation about
truly,
this.
truly, and I look forward to being the one thing that pops up when you look for this movie.
For Dead or Alive 5. Literally, like if you go, so one and two, not hard to find. We found them on YouTube,
Yeah,
rented
not that
them,
bad.
not even hard at all. Three, once you start putting in Dead or Alive 3 final, like you start getting the game clips again.
Yeah, yeah, it's funny when you search Dead or Alive Miike, it knows, but when you put Dead or
Hmm.
Alive Final Miike, sometimes it'll be like Extreme Volleyball.
It was like, yeah, yeah, exactly. Bikinis. Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know, but I found this on the was it the Arrow player is the name of the subscription service, and Arrow is fucking amazing too. It's basically like if I could put it weirdly, it's like the punk rock Criterion collection. It feels like that when I go onto their site. It's really fun. But I look forward to covering another one of their movies pretty soon, most likely. But we'll yeah, we'll come to that when we get to it. But this one we found on the Arrow player for right now. I cannot tell you where else to find this. Not even on Tubi, nothing like that. Like can't tell you where to find it. Maybe yeah, maybe just a physical copy is gonna be your best bet.
Yep. I'm glad I didn't have to go through that struggle for this one.
Yeah, for sure.
I offloaded a lot of my DVDs years ago, but I held on to these ones.
Yeah, yeah. There's just some that are too important for sure, for sure. But yeah,
And let me just tell everyone out there, do not take 44 DVDs to half price books. Just sell them one at a time on eBay. You're gonna have a much better time. You're gonna
exactly.
make a lot more money. You're gonna make like $3 at half
Yeah,
price books. I
exactly.
know.
What do we have for trigger warnings? Because I don't remember a whole lot. I do know that they're in there. I damn sure know it's a Miike. We were gonna have one or two.
Man, I'm really bad at writing the trigger warnings
I
down.
think at one point either suicide is mentioned or it's like depicted. I cannot remember, but I seem like to vaguely have a memory of that being in the film.
Yeah, I think there may be. There's violence against children.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's kidnapping.
Mhm.
There's a lot of just vaguely sexual content in various ways that's
Yeah.
just kind of uncomfortable,
Yeah,
honestly.
the sax twink being the prominent
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
feature in this one.
There's a sax twink,
There's the
that's for
sax
sure.
twink.
There's a lot of violence. There's stabbing, there's shooting, there's kung fu and shit.
Yeah.
Um,
I will say really well done kung fu sequences, like really good fight scenes at some points. Like some of it is goofy for sure, but like one of them in particular was like really well done.
there's body horror elements, for sure. There's identity stuff in there, just in terms of like I don't know if that puts you into a spiral, like really thinking about existence and identity. That's very key to this movie. Um, and there's a big fat dong,
Just
big fat dong,
large veiny fucker.
slick and shiny. So if you don't want to see that,
Slick and shiny. Yeah, absolutely.
it's like
100%.
an eel in the water.
God damn it. Yeah, so if any of that offends you, but I will say in terms of a Miike movie, not the most offensive.
Oh yeah.
Like absolutely not the most offensive.
It could always be worse.
Yeah, absolutely not even the most offensive we covered on this show.
Yeah.
Like definitely not. But I mean, it is. I will say it worth watching all three of them. Worth it
Yeah.
is worth watching all three, regardless of what you think our thoughts are going into this conversation. You know what I mean? Like, it is worth finishing out the trilogy because it. I don't know. It just rounds out the world very well. It's a very wide scope of this specific type of narrative. It's very fun.
It puts a cap on it.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
after doing two, there's sort of a demand for a three, and like maybe there's an element of that to this too, similar to Metal Gear Solid 4. So when Kojima made Metal Gear 2,
Mhm.
that was supposed to be the end.
That's right.
And
That's
then they
right.
said make another one.
And he was
And
like, "Fuck you."
they said make another one, and he was like, well, maybe there's something here if we do like this prequel and it's about Big Boss and all this stuff and blah blah blah. And then they said, okay, well that sold really well. It's one of the best games of all time.
Mhm.
Make another one. And that's when he was like, okay, fuck you, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, if you don't do it, we're just going to give it to somebody else to do.
Hmm.
So he went, all right, I'll do it. But
Bet.
Snake's old. He has
Yep.
emphysema and COPD. You move real slow. Raiden's gonna have a big part in it. Like it's all just a huge like fuck you. I
Middle
don't want to do
finger. Yep,
this.
exactly. That's what I was saying. Like,
Yeah, yeah. They talked him into three, and then they tried to do it again, and he was like, "Come on, man."
yeah, exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. And you're right. That might actually play a part into this because you just don't know how if his heart was in it. You know what I mean? To finish it off, or it was like it felt like contractual obligations at some point.
Or if that was just the point of just like malicious compliance.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, just finishing out that contract. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, for sure, and that's fair. But like I said, I do think it is worth finishing out the journey if you're gonna start it, and I do think it's a journey worth going on.
Yeah.
So hit him with it.
Okay, so we're going into it now. The Dead or Alive finale. It opens with clips of what looks like old Chinese movies. There's this movie is like at the beginning of the version that I have, it flashes on the screen and it says,
Yeah,
so it did the same thing for you
yeah, yeah, yeah. Same thing.
that they could not find a master that did not have um subtitles embedded in Japanese for all of the English spoken and all of the, I think it's Cantonese specifically that's spoken in
Hmm.
this movie.
Okay.
So it has the subtitles here. So I believe they're speaking Cantonese or Mandarin or
Hmm.
I think Hong Kongese is the other. So it's probably Cantorin or Mandarin,
Oh, okay, okay.
Cantonese or Mandarin. Um, but they're showing all these old movies, and the narrator is waxing poetic about the nature of hope and the future.
Yeah.
All this, like, not saying this, but sort of just the sentiment of like, there'll be flying cars and everything will be so different. And
Yeah, for sure. It's a very hopeful like monologue to open up the film.
yeah. And then we cut to Riki's character in bed with his wife with his alarm going off, classically known as the worst and least creative way to start any script.
Yeah.
Which, like, for Miike to do that, it's like, okay, I think he
That's
hated
fair.
this.
Okay, that's okay. Another, yeah, absolutely. You're gonna turn me on this movie.
He uh he makes he makes breakfast for himself and his son, and it's interesting to note that the eggs that he makes are just like bloody. It's like a
Yeah, I thought that was
yolk
strange.
surrounded by
Yeah.
blood
Hmm.
instead of the white.
Hmm.
Um and we see his wife and she leaves for work. And then we see the reality of the outside world. It's Yokohama, 2346 AD. The sky is yellow, and the street or alleyway that we're seeing down is just like totally trashed and destroyed.
Yeah, it's got
And
that classic Miike like wash of yellow over everything.
yeah,
Like that greenish yellow.
yeah, just to show us that everything is like actually post-apocalyptic.
I will
Uh,
say though, during that time, the early 2000s had all the movies had that look. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
it really was that like film over. It was like either Saw with the blue, or I think it was like green or some shit. But like, yeah, every movie had that tinge of just a wash
yeah.
of one color over it.
Yeah, this is just to an extreme to show us that this is a post-apocalyptic world, and
Hmm.
it's interesting in that like what it kind of does is it sort of puts it all onto a timeline together where two could not have been a sequel to one, but maybe it goes two, one, three, because this is perhaps the world after their showdown.
Interesting. Yeah, that's what I was always looking for. That connecting factor was, how did that happen? Like if or if there was going to be a connective tissue throughout this whole movie that
Hmm.
tied them all together. And you're exactly right. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's 2, 1, 3. That's exactly how the order of the movies should be, but they're just
Yeah.
told out of order, I should say.
Yeah, I think with two, he didn't really mean for that to be a connection at all. But with this, and especially with like the sequence at the end showing the other two movies,
Hmm.
it's like, oh, maybe it does all happen
That's
together.
exactly
But
what I
like,
mean. I was just like, okay, that's okay. This is what I was waiting for. Then this is, that was the payoff, to everything. So
and then a giant blimp flies by with the title card
that
on
was
it.
cool. I loved that. Okay, that's the thing. Made me extremely excited for this movie right away, because that was a cool ass title card. I love the way they introduced that.
Yeah. So, and I thought so as well. Why are blimps so like apocalyptic dictatory?
Yeah, it's very dystopian-esque. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it
For
just it,
whatever
it just
reason.
it just vibes well in that environment. So Riki's character is named Honda, and he is Mayor Wu's like loyal enforcement officer. So it
Hmm.
seems like he's a sergeant or a captain. He's like high up in this militarized police force.
Yeah.
And I didn't make too many notes about her, um, but so we see Honda take his son to the subway and send him to school, and then he starts looking through like this database of criminals and stops on this like random kid, and then he has this like badass female underling who like
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
she's like really skinny and tiny, and it's meant to be like played for the joke or like the trope where like immediately and very unnecessarily. Usually it would be like somebody, tries to feel her up or something, like something happens to like
Yeah.
justify her doing this. But literally, I think she's like, take me with you. And he's like, no, like I have all the people assigned to it. And then she just like spin kicks this dude and throws him. And I was just like, what the fuck? Like, he didn't do shit.
Homeboy was just vibing. What the fuck?
It
Talk
was
about a hostile ass work environment.
it was so weird. She beats him up and disarms him, and then he gives her like a "ha, that's cool." And then some
Yeah.
someone like calls out to him down the hallway,
Doesn't he give her like one of these? He gives it
I
like a
think
thing. He's
so.
just like, hell yeah.
I think so. It's just like, yeah, you could come with me now.
Throws the horns up, man. That show is funny as
And then the
fuck.
guy down the hall, I can't remember what he does, but he like Honda, and he looks, and then he just like,
Yeah,
and he's like, and then it says
starts
underneath,
voguing.
and it says underneath, the mayor needs you, or like the mayor's calling for you. So it's just this, like, I don't know.
It's
It's
interpretive dance.
yeah, basically, it's so strange,
In the
man.
future, that's how they communicate.
Yeah. So we meet Mayor Wu, who has his sax twink with him,
Yeah.
and I
Just
have
such a strange thing to add in. It's just like, okay, I guess the boss needs his like pet, like a pet cat. You
I
know what I
was
mean? Like or some
I,
shit. Like,
I
yeah.
guess so. I have this note for later in the movie, but you already brought him up. Wu then has his man in a diaper play the saxophone, and no, that's not an obtuse double entendre.
It's just what it is. I was just like so confused. I was like, huh. wh- Okay, okay. Like he's just there for the vibes. That's all it is.
It's
Because it doesn't match the environment that they're standing and having the conversation in. They're just on a rooftop.
it,
And he's
it's
just standing in the center.
it's funny because one time when I had two roommates, I was playing Yakuza and I was talking to one of them, and the other one had a girlfriend who is from Hong Kong. And we were just talking about how all of the Korean people in, well, the Korean men really, in the Yakuza games, they all just look like boy band members. Like they all are like really flamboyant, and most of them are shirtless, and they have like orange or silver hair and stuff
Was it
like that.
is Blackpink the band, the boy band?
I think Blackpink is a
Oh, it's
girl
the girl
band.
band. Oh, who am I thinking about?
BTS is definitely
BTS.
on
That's what
there.
it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
BTS. Yeah,
so they all
yeah.
kind of have that vibe, and then
That's so funny.
like all the Chinese characters in Yakuza have like Fu Manchus and like flowing silk gowns and shit, and we were just like, man, no one is more racist to Asian people than Asian people.
Yeah, yeah, it's very true. Yep.
It's just very entrenched in that culture.
It's the
Uh,
same thing with
and
Latin American cultures too. What the fuck? Like,
it is big time. It's so
same
weird,
thing.
dude.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. It's only the
100%.
whites that. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding. Um,
God damn it.
but anyway, the other roommate heard from down the hall, and he thought we were talking about Chinese people. And he came in and like tried to regulate on both of us, and we were both just like, "What the fuck are you talking about, dude?"
Thanks for proving our point, though.
We were like literally what we were talking about was just like how weird this is to
The
see.
division is,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just you'd think they would be like, "Oh man, fucking, you're my neighbor. Let's be chill," you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But every
exactly. No, yeah, it's definitely warring and like racism and stuff that's always been going on. Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
everywhere, all the time. You know, in Europe as well, Germany and France, back and forth for hundreds of years. So I just want to make it clear, I'm not saying that this is just an Asian
Oh
person.
yeah, no, 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 for sure. Yeah, absolutely, no, 100%. And I mean, that's the thing. We've talked about that too within his movies. Like Miike always has that thing where, like, even was it Blade of the Immortal?
Hmm.
That how that was very much a prominently,
Yeah,
the story of that,
that's
and then
literally about, yeah, like Chinese and Japanese people going to war, which
hmm
happened for hundreds, if not,
hundreds
uh,
of years. Yep.
well, I guess hundreds of years. Yeah, Japan hasn't existed in the way it does now for
hmm
thousands.
Yeah.
But yeah, just it's just crazy. The human
Yeah.
nature to like even hate people who are so similar to you simply because they are other. And you would think
Literally.
by the point that we're making fucking video games
Yeah.
that we would have
That's good. That's a good point.
how
Yeah.
unnatural is it to fucking sit down and play a video game? How against our like programming and our instincts is that? But like that's the one instinct you can't let go of.
Yeah, for sure, for
You
sure. It's
know,
very strange. Yep, absolutely. But I mean, to sit here and have the racism conversation, that would take a couple of episodes, my guy.
y- yeah, yeah. I just want to cap that off by just saying, to me, modernity and like what man has become
Hmm.
has been a gradual shirking of our instincts and like growing of reliance on our intellect. The
Hmm.
more that we become human, the less that we are animalistic. So like as much as like,
Yeah, but there's
you
always
know,
gonna be those like ones that hold out. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, as much as like at our core of our lizard brains, like we just want to like eat, fuck,
Yeah.
eat, fuck, sleep.
Eat
Like
fucks.
that's all that like anyone really
I
wants.
like
We
how that's like
understand.
one word, eat fuck.
Yeah, it is if you're Army Hammer. But just like to be humans and to have the true experience that we've like crafted for ourselves now, there's so many ways that you have to like shirk your instincts. Even watching a horror movie and feeling scared on purpose is
Yeah,
like the exact opposite of what our instincts tell us to do. Your
exactly.
instincts
Yep.
tell you you're scared, fucking tense your muscles up and get ready to fight,
Let's
bro.
go, dog.
Like get out of this situation or kill
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah,
how do
yeah,
you you know?
yeah. Eat fuck your way out of this.
Yeah. If you can't eat fuck, maybe you can fuck eat. But anyway, I just thought that that's so the Sax Twink looks the way that generally the Korean characters in Yakuza will look. Like
Yeah, yeah, for
he has
sure.
like the orange the medium length orange brushed
Yeah.
back hair and he's shirtless the whole time.
No
I
shirt
genuinely
whatsoever.
thought he was in a diaper for the first couple
Yeah,
scenes
yeah,
he's
yeah, for
in,
sure. He's got the
but
like loose fitting, like yeah,
yeah,
baggy sweats and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, he's in like some weird flowing pants and he's
yeah.
just always half naked
He's
and
got a good look. It's just so like weird. It's just
oh
weird
yeah,
placement. That's the thing. It does. He just looks out of place. It's nothing. It's nothing about his character whatsoever. I was like, oh, okay, word. Like they got a guy for the vibes. Like I imagine he's like the doof warrior in fucking Mad Max, the one who's always playing the guitar.
that's funny.
You know what I mean? Like he needs a soundtrack wherever he goes. So that makes sense. It just is strange when you set it in fucking dystopian, like future in
Yeah,
2040, whatever the
yeah,
fuck.
it's very campy and like
Yeah, it's very
unlike
strange.
most of Miike's movies are campy
Hmm.
to some element. Oh, Ichi the Killer is a camp fest.
Camp as fuck. Yeah, that's what
Like,
I love. I love the campy elements of
to
it.
even believe the fights in that movie, you have to be like so invested in the Broadway of it all, you know?
Yeah, for sure. The Broadway, yeah, 100%.
And
But back to my other point was that like he does the fight scenes very well too. Like the fights are in this movies are really well done. Like the
the final
choreography
fight,
and everything. Yeah,
like
the final
yeah,
fight is great. Yeah,
most
absolutely.
of the the fights are all good, but the final fight especially, there's some
Yeah,
really cool stuff in there.
absolutely.
Um, so Mayor Wu tells Riki that true love is eternal in homosexuality, but heterosexuality is just a tool for procreation.
It's the devil.
You playing that foosball? Um, so he basically explains like that's why he makes everyone take these sterilization pills.
Hmm.
And then we cut to Shoaikawa, and his
Hmm.
character is named Rio.
Looking as fucking sick as he ever has.
Yeah, he really loves the bleached hair.
Yeah,
I
but
think
yeah, he's like, I think I'm gonna hang on to this one for a while.
yeah, I don't know if that was the first time he ever bleached his hair, because obviously I followed Miike a lot closer than Aikawa,
Hmm.
and I've seen Riki in a lot of just random movies
Yeah,
over the years, and it's always like, oh, there's the guy from Dead or Alive.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but yeah, so I don't know if he like kept it after that or if he did it before, but it seemed like he liked it.
Oh yeah,
So he has his bleached hair,
he
and
has the same exact look from the second one. I think literally they just changed the pants. That's it.
that's funny. Yeah, he's wearing like cargo pants in this, isn't
Yeah,
he?
that's what I'm saying. It's literally just the same shit. It's just the same like buttoned up
Oh
like bowling
man,
shirt looking
I
or
forget where
Hawaiian shirt. I mean,
I forget where he saw it, but me and Amanda saw. You know how you have like the cargo pants that like zip off to shorts?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
They like zipped off around the ankle and then they zipped off around the knee and then I think they had a
yeah.
third zip and they
It
had
just became a
pockets on
thong.
right? But they had pockets on each of those sections.
This
So it's just like the longer
it's
your
so
pants are, the more
excessive.
pockets. Yeah, it was just crazy.
It's like
It,
DLC for pockets.
yeah, Jesus, expansion pack.
Exactly.
So we see Show, his character Rio, fishing on what seems to be like the remains of a ruined and half sunken piece of freeway. Like he's standing on like the support beam
Mhm.
fishing in this risen water.
Again, he looked like the composition on these shots are fucking sick, dude. I love the way this is filmed. It's strong cinematography right off the bat.
Yeah, there's something about that like post-apocalyptic derelict urban environment that
Always hits.
I don't want to live there, but it looks cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I want to go there and visit.
I might be living there in my lifetime soon
That's
if
fair, exactly. Like, I don't want to
when
live there. I might have to, though.
when the Trump Musk empire instates itself for life. So I'll move on. So he eats his lunch, the fish that he caught, and comes across the kid from the database that we saw earlier, and who threatens him with a knife and attempts to rob him, which he finds
Yeah,
humorous.
he was a little thug, man. I was like, that's hard, bro. He just walks in, he's like, I'm hungry.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
damn. Yeah, go,
He
King.
tries him. He tries him.
Yeah, he does.
But I love he just laughs at him. He's just like, "You're
Yeah.
stupid."
He's
Uh,
like, get over, you little idiot.
Yeah, and then I think he asks him what he wants or something, and he orders
hmm
him ramen. And the boy
There's
is
like
literally,
4 fucking bowls or some shit of it, like massive
yeah, yeah,
amounts.
that's right. You're right.
Yeah, he
He
does
has
like a
like multiple
shitload.
dishes,
Yeah.
and he's literally eating the ramen with his hands.
Hands, yeah, just going in.
And then,
Poor thing.
and then Rio smokes a cigarette in one puff.
Yeah, he does that a few times in this movie. I love it,
Multiple
dude.
times in this fucking scene.
It's so, dude, it's so funny because also very strange, like for what we discover he is, and I think we already covered that in episode 2, but I'll hold off right now. But what we discover he is very strange how much we see him eating and smoking.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
very strange. Like that motherfucker is very prominently eating a lot in all, like in I think all 3 movies, but it just especially in this one, he's like going to town.
yeah. Well, they reveal it by the end of this scene,
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
because
Yeah.
the cops show up and they tell the kid they'll shoot him in 5 seconds if he doesn't give his name, which is incredibly realistic. I've literally
Stop
watched
resisting.
I've literally watched videos of people dying
Yep.
for that
The
quickly.
exact reason. Yep.
Give me your ID. What the fuck for? Bang! Like what? You know?
Yeah. Firm reminder: we're an ACAP
Yeah.
podcast, and if
Fuck
you
them
don't,
all.
yep, and if you don't agree, you're wrong.
And if your dad's a cop, him too.
Him too.
Just so you know.
Exactly. Every single cop.
That's right. So yeah, and then they try it, and it goes slow motion. Rio does like a big flip over the
This shit was
table
so fucking absurd, dude. It was so much
and
fun.
catches the bullet, revealing not only is he an android, but he's a replicant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think in Blade Runner, which is what replicants like
Oh
come from,
yeah, oh yeah, you're totally right.
I think they're somewhat biological. Like they weren't
Yeah,
born,
yeah.
they were
They
made,
were
but they
made, yeah.
do have biological parts and aspects to
Elements of
them.
them. Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, all of that just clicked right now when you said that. That's interesting. Okay, all of my arguments invalid for sure.
Yeah, and so replicants are from Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's like public domain at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so yeah, so he reveals that he's a replicant, and I think he throws the bullet back at one of them.
Yeah, no, he like flips or some shit, doesn't he? Like he flips and just
Yeah,
fucking
he
like hit
flips
like
over the
he
table
like
and
kicks it
catches
back
it.
or some shit. Like It's
I
so
think
funny,
that's
dude.
later. Later he bites a
Oh, okay.
bullet.
Later he does that. And I was like, at one point he definitely does it. That was fucking great, dude.
Yeah. So I
I
think he
forgot
just
there were
throws it.
multiple bullet catches. Like I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of multiples, as they start chasing him, he one puffs another cigarette in the middle of the chase
So good,
and
dude.
and
It's
then
so
jumps off
good.
a building.
I love it. If you know it's gonna be a Miike movie when there's like m massive amounts of cigarettes consumed,
Oh
and
yeah.
now it's like comically so.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous. In
Oh, it's
hindsight, I'm
so
enjoying
good.
it so far.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's what I mean. Like the talking about it generally helps us enjoy it
You
more.
got to
But
work through it.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But just immediately off the bat, we're just like, this is weird, man.
What
I
was
feel
any of
weird.
that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then this is funny because our last episode, which I think was about Nosferatu,
Mhm.
I was that we recorded. I mentioned that there's something in that that was like straight out of JoJo. Oh, the coffin thing. And then there's another thing straight out of JoJo in this.
That's so funny.
And this
Hit me with it.
again,
I'm so excited for this.
this predates this by like 10 or 11 years in the
Yeah,
manga.
yeah, yeah.
But so they chase him. He jumps off the building, but he's still getting chased by other cops. Honda like goes around and comes down, and the female cop who I don't think we ever really get a name for her. Um,
If it was said I was been like passing, I was way too high to comprehend anything.
that's the best way to watch this movie.
Yeah.
So she shoots at him and he rips a pipe off the wall and then he catches the bullet inside the pipe and then it redirects upwards
That's
and then
some
it goes into
fucked
the air
funny ass shit, dude.
and it kills a bird. That's yeah,
So
that's in JoJo.
that was oh my God, is it? That's so funny, dude. I was
There
like, that's just so Looney Tunes, dude. It's so funny.
there's like a team up between a guy whose stand is a gun and a guy whose stand is a comic book that tells the future, and they're trying to stop
What?
the good guys, and the comic that tells the future tells them to shoot into these pipes at exactly this time, and the pipes will like redirect the bullets and take them to the good guys and kill them.
Oh my God. What
But he
the
shoots like 10 seconds too late or something, and so it just goes the complete like opposite
God,
direction.
yeah.
Everything goes wrong.
The more you talk about that goddamn show, I'm
It's
so
the best.
I know, man. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that soon, I promise.
There's some stands that are literally just Chucky and Freddy Krueger.
That's cool. That's cool. I fuck with that.
A
That's
lot of
fun.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that.
we'll get him on the show one day.
Absolutely.
So he redirects the bullet and then he throws the pipe at the cop and starts to run. And as he throws the pipe, Honda appears with a katana and just like dramatically steps in front of her and cuts the pipe in half in midair, and it just like one part goes to each side.
Oh, it was so much fun, man.
The rule of cool is basically this entire movie. I
Yeah,
also think I
yeah.
may have learned how to sheath a sword from Riki. Because in that scene, he sheaths his sword, and that was I think that was the first time that I was ever like, "Oh, you use the sheath as a guide. That's how you put it in like easily." Because the idea of like just putting a sword on
Hmm.
that's fiction.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. You
You
can't do that.
cannot
Yeah.
fucking do that.
Yeah.
It's just
You're
not
gonna
real.
fucking hurt yourself.
Yeah, so everything just shows it that it's just like, yeah, you know, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
you
Not real.
can't you cannot fucking do that.
Sorry, kids. Santa Claus isn't real. Neither is that.
Yeah, but I love the like katana. You like use your thumb and the length of the blade, and then yeah,
That's yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think that might be the first time I've ever learned that.
there you go.
That's cool.
But yeah, I had that note in here. The rule of cool is basically this entire movie. It's just like whatever, dude. It looks cool. Who
Yeah, yeah,
cares?
literally. That's all it is. Throw out everything you fucking thought you knew, you fucking film snub piece of shit.
Yeah, you motherfucker, goddamn son of a bitch. So 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 Rio and the kid end up at some sort of like it seems like it's a bunch of criminals, but then they start to talk and you understand that they're rebels. And as soon as they get there, they hold Rio up and like take his wallet and all draw guns on him before Japanese Daryl Dixon shows up and tells them to stop and give his money
He
back.
totally is. That's so funny. He totally is.
I
He's
don't even know the guy's actual name. I just have him in my notes as Daryl every
Daryl.
time.
That's
He's
so
he's
funny.
and again with the rule of cool,
Uh,
genuinely, fucking genuinely.
yeah.
I don't think this guy tried out. I think Miike was just
Just
walking down
saw
the
him.
street and
Yeah.
saw this guy and was like, "You'd be perfect for my movie." And he was like, "I cannot speak Japanese." And he was like, "It's
Yeah.
fine, it's
Yeah.
fine,
It's
it's
cool.
fine."
That's totally fine. We'll figure it out.
He's the one guy in the whole movie
Who
that he
speaks
just he
English?
just speaks English the whole time. And then there's like two scenes where he speaks Japanese. And Amanda, before we watched this, she was like, "Should I watch this? Should I pay attention?" I was like, "Look, you can start it with me, and if you drop out at any time, I completely understand and it's fine." So she was just kind of like scrolling and popping in and out. And during one of his Japanese scenes, she was like, "Yeah, you can really tell that that's like all the Japanese
He
this guy
knows.
knows."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and she pointed out that his Japanese dialogue is like really low in the mix.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah. No, it's like when he's like barking orders at them over a loud crowd or some shit. Like it's like
yeah.
always, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, she's absolutely right.
There's like one scene where they're like looking at gear and everything, and so he's like in the distance, and I think like it starts with him like over there speaking Japanese to them, and then it's sort of like the foreground is where
Hmm.
Rio is, and then it like focuses on him and what he's talking about or whatever. But yeah, they just included like two or three scenes of him like saying like four Japanese words
Yeah,
in each
yeah, for sure.
scene.
The entire time he's speaking English, I was like, wait, what?
Tell me that motherfucker does not look like Japanese Daryl
He
Dixon.
does. No, absolutely. It's exactly the same fit. He has the same hair. Like it's exact same shit. It's so funny. I
That
thought of Chris Redfield right away,
yeah.
but like, yeah, he's
Yeah.
literally just cool guy.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. It's just cool dude. And then
Cool
even to
dude.
that respect, like Miike and the Japanese audience might think the guy who speaks English like is the cool
Is the
guy.
coolest one. Yeah, 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 for
So
sure,
so
for
like
sure.
I don't really know, but but definitely 1000%. He was like, "I just like this guy's look. I want him to be in my
Yeah,
movie.
for sure,
We'll
absolutely.
figure it out.
Fuck yeah, and I'm
We'll
glad he did
figure
it, man. The dude's actually not a bad actor either. Like he's like you could tell it's like he's kind of giving it cheese for sure, but like there's some parts where I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I hope he actually continued and got work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Hmm.
It just cracks me up every time I saw him. I'm like, yeah, beautiful man, but can't speak a lick of Japanese. What is he
No,
doing in this movie?
absolutely not. It's the one guy in Japan who doesn't know Japanese.
The Chinese that pops up here and there like makes sense because even in a post-apocalyptic world, the countries that are going to be trading are going to be the ones right next to each other. So like
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are certain people I believe in the movie that do just speak Chinese at certain points. It's not just, or maybe it's just when they watch movies, because later they watch movies too, and those are all in Chinese.
That could be it too.
Because yeah, the subtitles come up a few times, the
Hmm.
like embedded
Yeah, yeah,
ones.
yeah. They come out behind the English ones or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. The ones
Hmm.
that are like embedded.
Hmm.
Um, and so he tells them to stop and give him his money back. He's like, "We're not thieves, we're rebels." And you can tell that there's like this, he's their leader, but they're not all like super into it. And
Yeah, it was
he,
an interesting way to like introduce a gang dynamic too, because you could see that there's obviously not really like a power struggle, but it was like there's not really like a ranking system going on here.
they're just starving.
Yeah.
Like you can see this is like in the final phases of this guerrilla movement where
Hmm.
like he's barely holding it together. So it's like as they start to starve, they're like, "Well, we need to rob people and take these things because we're living outside of society, so how are we going to get anything else?"
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he's like, "No, we got to be like so morally pure and good and everything." And it's like, I respect that, but unfortunately, you have a hard time holding an army together like that. That's the reason that like the Mongols did so
Yep.
well and other armies maybe
Because they were just
didn't.
a fucking iron hammer, just like striking their way through wherever they
They
fucking
were
they
like
wanted.
just embrace your id, do whatever
Mhm.
you
Yeah,
want. No one
literally, yeah,
cares.
yeah.
There's nothing
They just went berserker mode every
holding you
fucking
back. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and so because of that, there was never any like, oh, this guy's holding out on us and we're not
Hmm.
getting enough. They were like, dude, we get to do anything we want whenever we want. This is sick. Let's keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you could tell he has a lot of like communistic kind of values that he wants to adhere to, but he doesn't. It's not working for the group that he has with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're all just falling apart.
Hmm.
You can only fight for so long when you're like not winning. It's very
It's not good for
yeah,
morale.
it's very real life. Like it's so much to stand up to, you know.
Hmm.
Um So big respect to all the real rebels in the world, you know? Seriously.
Absolutely.
The people that I can actually back their cause, you know?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
There's
yeah,
good
yeah.
and there's bad
Yeah.
rebellions going
Yep.
on in the world right
Yep.
now.
Amen.
So uh, he informs Rio that sex, family, and kids are illegal, and the mayor forced them to take birth control drugs, and that's the reason that they formed this little rebel faction. And it's kind of interesting because as we talk about it more, it's just like gay people have dealt with exactly this in the real world,
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
there's
That
as
wanting to stifle it out and thinking that it was a phase or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
like
you're
literally,
absolutely right.
like the whole thing with like Imani Khalif, is that her name? The boxer?
I don't know.
I know Imani is correct. I could be getting her last name wrong, but the woman boxer who was
Hmm.
born a woman who punched the other woman so hard that she said she must have been born a man, she's trans, and then people
Oh,
started
that's
running with
right. I
it.
remember that. Yeah.
And she's Algerian. And
Uh-huh.
I have a friend at work who's Algerian. I've never known another Algerian person.
Hmm.
And way before this even happened, he was telling me about some of the difficulties in living there because religious thought is so embedded into like their laws and everything.
Hmm.
Literally, being gay is legal there. Like
Fuck.
you will face punishment for that.
Yeah.
Being trans is way worse.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like people were like, "Oh, this woman, this woman, blah 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 blah," and it was just like, dude, they're from a place in the world where like that would not fly. So
Yeah.
like
It's
have
fucking horrible. Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. And
Yeah.
that is, the point is how bad that is, but also just like have the sense to know that this is clearly a woman. Like
Yeah, yeah, for
this
sure.
culture
Absolutely.
war
Yeah.
shit gets so
Yeah.
ridiculous that like I literally saw someone the other day, they put a image of a woman from a video game into an AI and asked it, "Am I allowed to be attracted to this?" Like they were like, "Is
What?
this image attractive?"
What?
And then they like showed the post to be like, not attractive, libtards," and it was just like,
What the fuck?
bro, if your shit got hard, it got hard. Like like I don't
Exactly.
what? Fucking Christ, dude.
Oh, that's so funny.
So there's definitely an element here of like maybe, Wu just knows how it was for people like him in the before times, and so he's like,
Hmm.
fuck everyone else. But it's very short-sighted, but so is, any sort of exceptionalist uh um like holding down of people, oppression.
Yeah, exactly. Oppression. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, and it's a fantasy world. So it's like, yeah, everyone's just gonna fucking die eventually. Then there's gonna be no one left. Like that doesn't really matter because they're also
Yeah, for
building
sure.
robots. So
Yeah, yeah, and but I also like. I mean, I like his still willingness to. Yeah, I mean, you could call it naivete, but you could see he's very much trying to retain those values and like instill that in the people that he's like trying to lead. and that's how he's trying to lead is with compassion.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I
You know
was
what I mean?
talking about Wu being short-sighted
Oh,
by
yeah,
by
yeah, yeah.
by doing all of that because I was just sort of taken apart. I was like, okay, as much as there's like on the surface, you just be like, yeah, this is a homophobic idea. Like, what the fuck? The gay
Narrative
guy's
that's
gonna
going
do all
on.
of that.
Yeah,
But then
yeah.
you think about it, and it's like, how many things are like everyone did evil to me, so I'm doing evil to them.
For sure, for sure,
You,
for
you
sure.
know. So he explains their ethos and what they're fighting back against. And then we and Honda watch Mayor Wu interrogate a young pregnant couple, telling them they can either take the sterilization drugs or die in the presumably irradiated wasteland. They refuse and are taken back to their cell. And she's probably like third
I
trimester.
was gonna say she's
Uh,
late. Yeah, she's late
yeah,
trimester for sure.
yeah, so she's very visibly pregnant,
Hmm.
and she asks what'll happen to their child, and they get no answer. And I had sort of like not realized this. You realize it later
Hmm.
because Miike is such a like show not tell guy. But occasionally I'm like, dude, it's okay to tell me some things.
Yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
so they are part of the rebel group.
Oh. Oh, that makes sense now. Because yeah, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, oh,
So
damn.
they were
Okay, it
captured,
connected that
presumably
dot.
because she's slower moving,
Hmm.
because she's
She
very,
couldn't
very
run.
pregnant.
Yeah,
So like, yeah,
exactly.
she can't jump over a fucking fence like
Yeah.
that. At
Yeah,
least
because
I
I was
wouldn't
like,
recommend
what?
it.
Yeah, for sure. I was just wondering. I was like, there are kids around. Like, it's not like they can't have kids, right? But they just don't want them to.
They're not allowed to have kids. That's part of it. Having a family and having kids are both, and
Both
having
banned.
sex, it's
Okay.
all
Okay.
illegal.
All banned.
It's
Okay.
all illegal. So there's not supposed to be any intimacy between people.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then this is where Wu has his sax man play.
Sex tweak, take it away.
That's right. Um, And then they decide, the rebels decide that this is the perfect time to strike, and they decide to try to kidnap the mayor at a public event, and they fail because they're an incohesive group of morons. They're just like
Yeah.
completely. I wish I had taken a little bit of better notes, but literally they're just like not doing what he's telling them to do, and they're all just acting independently, and it just
Hmm.
doesn't go to plan because there doesn't seem to be any plan. And when they get in the room with Wu, and they literally have him at gunpoint, and because they start arguing because one of that's what happens. One of them starts going through the pockets of the soldiers, and they're like, "Dude,
Yeah.
not right now."
Hmm.
And he's like,
Hmm.
"Why? Why not?" And then they start fighting with each other, and then Wu's soldiers are just looking at each other like, "Are these guys really this fucking
Yeah,
dumb?"
exactly.
They're looking at each other like, "We have a shot right now, but are they fucking with us? Is there a
Exactly.
gordita?"
That's so good.
That's a deep cut. Um, But
That's
yeah,
so
and then
funny.
they just open fire on them, and a couple of them get hit, and they run away. They literally have him at gunpoint. They should have just blasted him,
Yeah, yeah.
but they're idiots, and they run away, and they get onto a school bus and hijack it. And as they're like
This part was wild.
dressing their wounds and everything, suddenly they realize, and we like the camera turns to the back, and Honda's son is just sitting there.
That was fucking crazy. I was like, oh shit.
Just a total accidental
Yeah,
fucking
don't you
kidnapping.
hate when that happens?
Yeah. Oh boy. And so they return to the base, and the rebel kid ends up over time befriending Honda's son, whose name is
Their
Takeshi.
their relationship was so goddamn cute. I loved it so much. That was easily my favorite part of this whole movie.
It's kind of
They were
funny.
adorable together.
It's kind of funny how they're like holding him hostage, but then they're like, "Yeah, you can just go in there and play with him,
Yeah,
whatever."
exactly. Like, hey, go fucking go
They're
play
like,
with
we're
him.
not complete monsters, and we
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
mean to like kidnap him. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, what's gonna happen?
So funny. Yeah, but the two kids, they have such a great fucking relationship. It's so cute, man.
Yeah, they start to become friends, And so before they can even start to become friends, though, they get back to the base and they put him in there, and they're kind of just like making faces at each other at this point, the two kids, and the
Mhm.
grown-ups are talking, and literally as they're talking about like what the fuck to do, one of the big guys is telling Daryl that he's a moron and someone else should be in charge and oh no, it's not even that. Before they even get to that, the woman, because there's one woman in the group who they say is the kid's sister and Daryl Dixon's girlfriend, and she says something, and then the guy stands up and he puts his hands on her, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
and
yeah.
then Daryl like fucking wigs out and hits him,
Hmm.
and then a different guy stands up and grabs him and throws him, and then they just start kicking the shit out of him
Yeah,
in front
fuck
of
his
the
ass up. Yeah.
building, and Rio's just out there one puffing a cigarette, and
What the
they're like, "What? Do you have a problem?" Blah 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 blah, and he's just sitting there like looking at him like, "What the fuck, dude?" And then he kicks one of their legs and like buckles his knee, does this little back roll, and then just starts beating the shit
f-
out of them. And then several more guys come out to try and fight him. And I'm pretty sure he kills several of these guys with his bare hands.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then one dude shoots at him, and this is where he does the bicycle kick
Oh,
and
so
sends the
good,
bullet back
dude.
through the shooter's
So
head.
fucking good. I was like,
So
yeah, this is the scene that like had me locked in. I was like, word, I fuck with this movie. I love this movie, dude.
so fucking ridiculous.
So
So
fun.
So we cut back to Wu and Honda, and Wu tells Honda that he sees Takeshi as a grandson and that he'll do anything to get him back. And so they decide that they're going to trade the rebel prisoners that they have for the for Takeshi. I almost said the grandson for
Mhm.
Takeshi. And so this is where it was like kind of confusing, but then I realized what had happened here. So that's how I realized that those two people were rebels. So we
Yeah.
see that couple, and we can see that she doesn't have a pregnant belly anymore, which is an oversimplification of how the timeline on that works, you know.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
visually, we understand that she's had the baby. She's not pregnant
An
anymore.
oversimplification. Yeah, for sure.
We're streamlining, you know. Um,
Yeah, for sure. Cut off
so
that baby fat.
so there's like not really any rebels left at this point. And so when they go to do this handoff, the couple gets off the truck and pulls out guns and starts shooting at them
Yeah.
and kills the rebels, including Daryl Dixon. And only Rio, the boy, and I think June is her name, the sister.
Yeah.
They're the three who survive, and they go into hiding. Um, and basically, and they kill Daryl kills them before he dies. He takes out the couple that like turned traitor,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and so Honda's son is just kind of like left to wander.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty fucked up.
yeah, and so they find a movie theater and they start going there. They go there once with his son. I think that my timeline's a little messed up here. I
Mhm.
think before the handoff, the boy and Takeshi go there together during like their bonding montage.
I think yeah, I was gonna say either that. I think it was, or it might have been a flashback because I had the same thought. I was like, wait, did we like skip something or?
I think I accidentally messed up the timeline. So I think before the handoff, they take him and show him that, and then he gets lost,
Mhm.
and then he just somehow shows up at home, and then Honda's like happy he's home,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but then he leaves one day and he ends up meeting with the remaining rebels and the boy at the movie theater, and
Hmm.
Honda follows him, and when Honda comes inside, Rio sees him and goes outside to talk to him, and he tells him, "Hey, I know what it looks like, but this is just two kids meeting up." Like this has nothing to do with the grown-ups.
Yeah.
And
I
uh
do like just to quickly interject the kids mirroring the leads sort of relationship as well. Like that bond kind of like I feel like in two especially how they were like they were brothers from like a young age and is very
yeah,
much like had that strict I like how you kind of see that mirrored in this one with the kids as well.
interesting.
But yeah, I like that line of dialogue too. This is just kids meeting up, not the grown up. Like that kind
Yeah.
of just like hit that note for me right now.
Yeah, yeah, he's just like, "Hey, dude, this has nothing to do like I'm just a chaperone." You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, exactly.
But of
Yeah.
course, it's natural for him to feel scared when his son's already been kidnapped.
Hmm.
So they start fighting until Takeshi shows up and tells them to stop.
It's a
And
great fight scene. That this is one of the ones I was talking about. Like this one was a great
oh yeah,
choreographed fight scene. It's
they're doing
fucking
like
great.
flips on the bars and shit.
Yeah,
And like
it's really fun,
I
dude.
don't
It's
know
a
if you
really fun one.
I don't know if I mentioned this in the last movie, but I don't know if you've noticed how
Hmm.
much of it is them.
Oh yeah,
Like
you were
it's
saying
not
that.
stunt doubles.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
You were saying that they
mostly these two
really
guys.
wanted to do their own stunts. Yeah, that's fucking cool. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I mean, in like Asian cinema, that's what makes people valuable. Is like not only are you pretty and you can say the lines, but you
But
can
you
also
can do
do the
your own
spin
stunts.
kicks and shit
Hmm.
when it's time. Whereas here, like you could just be pretty and say the lines and have no
Hmm.
physical ability, and they'll just
Yep.
hire a guy to do all that shit.
Who looks like you? Yep.
Yeah, and I'm not saying one's like bad and one's good, but it's just interesting
Hmm.
how it's like so much like you just have to be an all-rounder
Yeah,
to
for sure. I will say one is a little more effective than the
yeah,
other.
it's cool when you can tell that it's like actually them in the fight scenes and they're
Exactly.
not like Christopher Nolan, like it's all elbows and
Mhm.
knees
Yeah.
and close-ups and
Yeah,
shit.
for sure. Just
You
like
know, I
yeah.
fucking hate the way
Elbows.
that guy shoots fight scenes. It's
Yeah, for
like
sure. It's all very up close and too quick. Yeah, for sure. It's not. Yeah, there's. That's why I like the action from this because it also they pull back a lot. Like there's a lot of like wider shots of them fighting, and it's a
yeah,
very
because
interesting
the
way
point
of
is, yeah, to show like
to
their faces
showcase.
in the
Yep,
frames where they're doing like all the spin kicks and the jumps and like
exactly.
I think at one point one of them literally fucking like flips over the bars to do a kick, you know?
Damn, that's fun. Yeah, it's very cool. It's fun, and also I really well on the topic of that. I brought it up at work the other day. I really want to watch The Raid finally. I never have, and
Oh,
I
it's
yeah,
they're
I really
cool.
really want to fucking do that, dude. It sounds fun, but
They're pretty paper thin as far as plot goes, but like they're a good time.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want a good
Y-
fight movie. I think after this, it got me hungry for a fight movie. You know what
Yeah, yeah, it's just like
I mean?
all right, they're going in and there's a bunch of guys, so here you
Yeah,
go.
for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's all I need sometimes,
Yeah, they're solid.
for
I like
sure.
those.
But I like
Um,
this one that has a little more meat on the bones. You know?
oh man, now that you said that, I actually know what my next movie is gonna be.
Fuck
Thank
yeah,
you.
fuck yeah.
Uh, so Honda says he's gonna take his son home, and the two guys promise to fight another time. Of course, you know.
Let's put a pin in this one.
Yeah, in like more of a brotherly way though. You know, it's not as
Hmm.
much like we'll settle this another time. It's just like I wonder which one of us is stronger, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Or in the ending's case, whose dick is bigger.
exactly. We're getting there. So Honda returns home and discovers that his wife is a replicant. She does this
That
like
was wild. That okay, this was the one where I was like, yeah, you're firmly watching a Miike movie.
oh yeah, especially in a second. Let me get about
Yeah.
two more sentences
Yeah,
down the
for
line
sure.
here. But she just like leans back against the balcony until she flips over it and then kind of does
Yeah.
the Lindsay Lohan crab walk. And Honda comes down the stairs, realizes she's a replicant, and reaches into her vagina to turn her off. And
Yeah.
and and fellas, let me tell you, fellas, let me just say, my guys,
Ellis.
fellas,
Gather around, if you
fellas, if putting your fist inside of her turns her off, you ain't doing it right.
will.
You ain't doing it right.
Fucking God.
I knew you'd
Oh,
enjoy
that's
that.
fucking hilarious. Yeah, I really do. I
S-
really do.
So he goes to Wu and confronts him and says, how long has she been a replicant, or what's going on? Like his world is just collapsing, and he's like, so I must be one too, and my son. And Wu was like, yeah, of course, you dummy. Yeah, why do you think you're so fucking loyal to me? And he tries to
It was a
attack
pretty
him.
pretty good flip because I mean I remember I think going into it I'd only remembered that you had said that the leads were
Yeah,
the
I
the
couldn't remember who
replicants.
I couldn't remember who was, or if it was both of them.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so
yeah.
I also like forgot until the wife flipped out, and then I was
That
like,
was cool
oh
though. It was a good reveal. Like it was like I said, it was like a fucking horror movie. It was like, oh, this is sick.
yeah. Yeah, it's also interesting that, like, just thinking about it, all the female characters in this besides June are like very in the periphery and like don't really do much or have much agency.
Yeah.
And it's probably because they're all robots that are just serving a role. So like she just calls him to be like, "What's going on with our son? What's going on with our son? Oh no, something's going on with our son."
hmm
And
hmm
then at the end she just like falls apart, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're right. There's not really any development there for sure.
Yeah. Because she's nobody. She's just a
hmm
replicant.
hmm
That's her entire thing, is to annoy him about the sun situation, so he'll
Yeah,
do it.
exactly.
It's
It's
yeah,
your
it's
main purpose.
yeah. Uh in the text of the movie,
Yeah, yeah,
believe it or
yeah, yeah, exactly. Not,
not.
yeah,
Yeah, let
exactly.
me save us here.
Disclaimer.
Let me save us.
Thank
Um
you.
so it's revealed that he's unable to attack Wu. He tries to attack him, and this like white force field comes around him, holding him in place.
That's the whole you can't attack your
hmm
creator thing or whatever.
Yeah, he was programmed to not be able to. And
Mm.
he says that the plan to sterilize everyone has grown from the belief that the old world is limiting and unnecessary. And he six Honda on Rio, setting up their final fight. And I forget exactly when it happened, but earlier in the movie, there was a thing where Rio touched his own chest, and this little like white
Oh yeah, the
aura
little like
came out.
aura came out. Yeah, for sure.
And
Yeah.
then there's another part of the movie where he touches Honda's chest.
He
I think at the
touches his
movie
chest.
theater,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
touches him
yeah.
at the movie theater, and the little white aura comes out, like showing him he's like, I know that you're one. And then he
Okay,
goes
okay. I
home.
was like, I was wondering what the purpose of that was, but okay, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Yeah, so like telling him like, you might want to think about this, dude.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, and so Wu must do something to his programming to make him go after Rio. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. And they end
Mhm.
up fighting in a warehouse and just having like a really badass fight. And as they're fighting, is that classic, like punching each other's punches and shit like that.
Yeah, it's
And
super fun.
we have the intercuts of one and two, which is like either implying that it's all on the same timeline, and that these two guys' souls
They're
are just
just destined
reincarnating over and
to
over
like
to.
clash and then unite. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, both of
hmm
those things. They're like rivals. They're not
hmm
enemies, they're rivals.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they like just sort of come to a realization and stop fighting. And I forget exactly what like brings it forward, but they merge together and turn into this CGI monstrosity with
Fucking
with
crazy.
with just a dickhead for a head.
Literally just a dickhead.
And and both of their faces are on its nipples.
Yeah, yeah, and well, it goes from the nipples like, and then they rotate to the sides like they
And like
become the
end up on the
balls. I don't
hands or
know.
something. Yeah, I don't I
Yeah,
don't even know. And they're just like talking about existence and like what are they now and
yeah, it's
what
fucking
should they do? And
crazy.
then they're like, "Yeah, let's take down Mayor Wu." And as they say
Oh
that,
my
all of a
God.
sudden the shaft emerges as it gets hard, and it just has a huge hard on for a head. and they fly away
Big
out of the
veiny fucker
warehouse, and then
too.
it cuts to Wu giving his fucking sax twink back shots against a wall. And then all of a sudden there's like a big sound behind them and they turn around and yell, "Oh my God," and start screaming in horror. And we cut to
And
black.
that's all. That's it.
And that's the end of fucking Dead or Alive Final. That's the end of the Dead or Alive trilogy.
It's just so fucking wild, dude. Like,
What do you think is the most egregious penis you've seen on screen this year? Count Orlocks or
yeah, I was
this
gonna say
one?
it has to be. It has to be a toss up between those two for sure. But this one's got to take the kid. This literally just fills the entire screen. That was just a little wormy fucker.
Yeah, yeah, that's just blink and you
Nosferatu.
miss it.
Yeah. This one you can blink a couple times, you still won't miss it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was just I had to watch this in two sittings because I was just fucking far too high that first time. I was like starting to teeter off towards the hour mark and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pause it right here and finish in the morning. This was the first thing I saw that morning. I was just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Like I said, I have a note that says
What the fuck?
I genuinely hate that there's an actual thematic reason that they became a big throbbing hard cock to defeat the sterilization man.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That's
know,
literally
like
yeah, exactly.
I hate that it's thematically on point.
Oh, they just become
I
iron
really
cock.
I really wish it wasn't. It's like
I love and hate Miike so much.
I do love, like for the last 20 years of my
Um,
life, I have been able to say, "Hey, you should watch this movie." At the end, these two guys merge into a giant penis
and
robot.
I
It's
love not even at the end of this movie. At the end of these three movies, that's what it leads up to.
God.
Oh my God. And that's what I mean. Like, for it to go straight into that is just such a wild fucking punchline to a movie that was like pretty legitimately set up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny, dude.
So I looked it up. The female cop's name is Michelle, but
There's
there's
no
there's
mention.
no
What
fucking
the
way.
fuck?
There's
There's no
no way.
mention. What the
There's
fuck?
no they do not say her name.
Absolutely not. There's no Michelle in that
I,
fucker. No,
I'm,
absolutely not.
I'm glad we were both so resolute on that. I was just like, no, fuck you.
There's no
Fuck you.
way.
You absolutely never said
Uh,
that anyone in this movie.
that's some like novelization of the movie type shit where they like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Michelle, you
Ex
remember
ex
her?
And then Michelle thought to herself, "Wow, I sure am a fully fleshed out character with
Yeah,
with motivations and desires and
exactly.
things to do in this plot."
Yeah, dude, it's so funny. I'm okay, but again, talking about it now, I like the movie a lot more. I liked it
Yeah,
a lot more.
I definitely in my initial scoring it lost like 3 points because Biscuit was being an asshole.
During the
But
initial viewing.
my kitten for those that
His child, his biological son.
oh yeah, he's a little over a year old, so he's still not out of his being a shithead phase yet. So he was really fucking driving me crazy while I was trying to watch this movie.
Yeah.
But
Well, him despite that, do you want to jump into the ratings?
yes, my one final note that I will mention though is during the final fight, they're like fighting at the top part of this warehouse at first, and
Yeah.
then Honda throws Rio down, and then when Honda like drops down the ladder to like go continue the fight, it's like really cool, but it's also really fucking funny at the same time. But like as he's dropping, Rio runs up and
Runs in and
drop kicks
fucking
him.
yeah, kicks him into the yeah, that shit was so good, dude. Oh
That
my God.
that was like the one where I'm like, okay, yeah, that was a dummy. He did like that wasn't a
Yeah.
real man, you know?
Yeah, they didn't just fling that man.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just goes like absolutely fucking flying. I was watching
That
something
was
else
so
yesterday
good.
where someone went flying and he hit his head against a guardrail and there was like
Hmm.
a boom as it
Hmm.
happened and I was like,
Hmm.
"Oh, I think that just killed that guy." But then but then he just got up and I was like, "Oh, that was you guys really shouldn't have laid that sound effect on
Yeah,
so thick 'cause like I thought that guy was fucking
just dead.
dead."
Yeah, just like watching a corpse. That's
Yeah.
so fucking funny. Yeah.
But you go first because I'm still thinking. I'm still
Yeah, no,
tabulating.
yeah, 100%. So yeah, like the whole movie, I was like really again, I was having a fucking blast watching it, and then I felt weird at one point, kind of through, and then at the end of it, I was just like, God damn it, he stuck the landing. Like, okay, all right, fine. Like he got like it got a laugh, but also like you said, fuck it thematically, it should not work like that. But it does. And I respect it. I respect the fucking swing that he took, man. This is
That's
what
a,
I was talking about, you know?
Yeah, that's a lot of Miike stuff, like imprint as well. You're like, this
Yeah.
is so stupid on its surface.
Yep.
I really wish that he could have used all Japanese actors, but it's honestly pretty solid.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's a solid ass movie. Go listen to our Imprint episode. That was such a fucking weird one to cover. That was the first technical. Well, it's technically feature length. It's an hour long, but it was like kind of like the first short film we ever kind of
Yeah,
stretched out into an hour.
TV
You know,
movie.
TV movie. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I mean, having and again having a love, just a deep, deep love for Miike's films going into this helped me love it a lot more too. But just like other ones that I've kind of been like weird on or just not really had, like they didn't hit at first, talking about them absolutely helps. Like digesting this movie with someone and like, like being like, yo, we both fucking saw that, right? Like that actually just happened. Like having someone there to confirm your delusion is going to help you a lot with this movie.
So that just happened.
So that just exactly. So
Is Miike behind me?
yeah, yeah. So
I
exactly. So
I I might have mentioned this before. If you like the No More Heroes games, he's in 2 and 3.
no more heroes. Which one's that one? I'm not even
It's
sure I'm in any of
Travis Touchdown. He has like a legally distinct lightsaber and like a
them. Legally
pompadour
distinct.
mohawk and like a red leather jacket. But the whole thing is like he's a hitman or he
Huh.
wants to become a hitman and then he starts like going up the rankings and like he's just like an otaku wrestling fan, just like dipshit kind of guy. And
Okay.
eventually, literally, BK as himself starts showing up in the games as a
What the
character.
fuck? I gotta play that. That's
There's
awesome.
like 3 of them with Miike in them.
That's awesome. Well, I heard about another one. Was it Sifu was also a massive, takes a lot of inspiration from like Old Boy and like a lot of like um a lot of kung fu movies around the time too. A lot of violent, just like Japanese films. But yeah, yeah, that sounds fucking awesome. What was this one called?
No More Heroes.
No More Heroes. Okay, that's yeah. I need to check that out. That's fucking awesome. But okay, anyway, back to what we were talking about. I love and deeply appreciate what Miike sets out to do with his films and how he like again sticks that landing. How he does that. I think as strange as I felt throughout this one and watching it, at the end it did stick the landing because again I had watched the two movies that came out before it and it put a neat little dick shaped bow on everything and it worked. It just worked for me. It worked really well, and for that reason, I mean, I'm gonna probably give this one another 5 out of 6. I'll give it a 5 out of 6. And would, by the way, for those who don't know, we rate out of 6 on this show because
There we go.
there we go. So I
We're
got
so
it
bad at that.
in.
Yeah, there you go. He did it. He got it in. He's the in getter. Um, yeah, definitely still feel like it's not as strong. It's for sure the weakest of the three.
Mm,
Um, yeah, I think probably overall, if I'm like being honest, because it's fun to talk about, but
yeah.
when actually watching it, it was a slog,
Hmm.
and I have to be honest, even though he's one of my favorites, even though I love the rest of this franchise, even though I do think on future viewings I'll enjoy it more now,
Hmm.
having like talked through it, just off the initial impression, like a 4 out of 6.
For sure, that's fair. I think yeah, that and I think we rated the first one. I think you gave a 5 or a 6. I think
Yeah, I think
you
I
might have
gave the
given it
first
a
one a
6.
5, and I think I gave the second one a 6 because the
No, I
second
think the
one
second
actually
one we
landed
all unanimously were like 5 on because we were all like,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, because we'd like talked about it more and yeah, came to that conclusion. But it's a fitting end to it. I feel like it's a fitting rating for what this movie accomplished, and you're totally right. It may not be the strongest of the three, but I do, like I said in the beginning, I keep echoing it. I do believe it's necessary to watch all three.
Yeah. Yeah, and it could be a hell of a weekend.
Hell
Watch
yeah.
watch the watch these, all three Lord of the Rings. That's 8 years of your life right there.
Absolutely, man. Well, do we have any other housekeeping before we lead them on out?
No, just let them know what we're gonna be watching next time.
So next time, we're gonna come back with I'm very excited about this one. We were just talking about this one before we started recording. Phantom of the Paradise. We're gonna do. It's a Brian De Palma film, and as far as I know, one of his few musicals, if not one of his only. But it is a phenomenal little piece of art. I was not. Very recently watched it. I think I found it this year, and again, high as shit. Watching it, had a fucking blast. Beautiful film, but I was like, there's so much going on here to talk about. There's so much going on. So that's gonna be a very fun one. We're gonna have a very special guest on. Yeah, fuck, I was gonna say I was gonna, not confirm, but she confirmed before we started recording. So, Victoria, my tattoo artist. I don't know if tattoos by Victoria on her Instagram. I'll plug all that because one of my best friends. That's the homie. She is responsible for tattooing my fingers, my lips, my hands. She did my for the video audience. They can see my portrait of my child on my hand that I have.
So it's her fault you're unemployable.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna have V on next week. I'm very excited. She's a huge fan of this movie. Was one of the ones who was like, dude, you need to watch this. So very excited to talk with her. Yeah, that'll be next week. And then I just want to say this is the very first episode of the new year. This is the very first one, and a correction up top. You said that it was 69 last episode. We just did the math beforehand, figured it out. This is 69. Nice.
You know, I'm gonna find ways to say that every episode is actually the
Exactly.
69th episode moving forward.
That's fair. But yeah, first one of the new year. I'm very excited. This is gonna be a great year for the podcast. We have some big fucking plans that we're actually going to start executing soon and not just talking about anymore. So if you guys want to keep up with us on our socials, we are the Devil's Work Podcast on Facebook, the Devil's Work Pod on Instagram and TikTok. I think we're the Devil's Work Podcast. Either way, search it,
Yes.
look it up. You'll find us.
Yeah, I think we're just the Devil's Work Pod on Instagram. Everywhere else, it's the
Everywhere
whole
else is a
thing.
podcast. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then we also have our email set up for you guys to let us know what you thought about some episodes. Let us know some recommendations you have for episodes at the Devil's Work Podcast at gmail.com. Yeah, write in, man. We want to hear from you guys. And, if you do write it, maybe you get a little treat. Who knows?
Maybe a
Maybe
little,
a
a
little
little,
treat,
little snack,
little
little
snack. You know
something.
what I mean?
Yeah, we're everyone says this at the end and beginning of the year, but it's gonna be a big year. Suck my dick.
Suck my robotic veiny. Two-man machined dick.
My robotic android fucking slimy serpent. My
Yeah,
my blood and oil filled.
that's fucking disgusting.
I know, I'm sorry.
I love
I'm
it.
just trying to see when you'll cut it off.
Yeah, I love it. I love it, and
The
I love
dick. I
you.
mean the dick.
Yeah, the day. Chad.
I love
Uh,
you too. I want to put that on the record.
I thank you. Yeah, do that. And then also, I'm on Twitch, twitch.tv/sideshow, PSY, spell it right. I am doing, right now, I'm going to be currently doing a run of the Max Payne games, revisiting old childhood favorites and stuff.
Oh shit.
Love it. I
After
love it.
after those, you should play Alan Wake.
Yeah, I might just, yeah, roll into that for sure. Like,
That
very much into this right now. It's very sick.
I might get you excited by telling you that in a way Max Payne is in Alan Wake
In
too.
Alan Wake, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I know, dude. I was listening to a podcast on all of that. I was like, it's all connected. What the fuck? So
Yeah,
go,
it's pretty
go,
cool.
go check it out on Twitch. I play Elden Ring. I watch some movies that we do on the pod sometimes. We have a good time, and I'm hoping to have Chad here on for some watch along streams and shit in the future. So go check it
Yeah,
out. And yeah, other than that, I think that'll about do her.
I think she's about done.
I think she's about done. All right.
Okay, everybody, remember, not all gay people are trying to sterilize you, okay? Just this, there is a gay agenda, but
There is a gay.
it's mostly chill. It's mostly
Exactly.
chill.
It mostly involves naps and snacks. All right,
All
you
right.
guys.
Be excellent to each other.
Later.